Hey everybody! So first off, I just want to give a huge welcome and thank you to everyone for being here. So thank you alumni, board members, family members, faculty, students, and who could forget the class of 2017? We made it, y'all. Okay, so I'm up here to give a speech, and I see a lot of people out here in the audience, but I'm really up here right now to talk to students and not just our graduating class. There's a quote from a book called Brave in the Rocks by Sabrina Ward Harrison that I borrowed from Miss Moore a couple months ago, and I've had it stuck in my mind ever since. Ward Harrison decided to drop everything and travel to Italy because she felt like her life was going in the wrong direction. In Italy, she writes, "I have been touched by lives I did not know existed, people living their lives beside mine, if only for a minute." Sabrina's words could not be more resonant with me after what I've been able to be a part of at LA. I dropped everything I knew as familiar in order to come here, as I know so many of you have. And I'm not only incredibly thankful for the opportunities I've been given at this school, but I'm also grateful beyond words for teachers that showed me I could be a writer, for old friends, for new friends, and lives I did not know existed. Growing up, I was always afraid to talk in class, and I was afraid to share my writing up until my junior year here at Lawrence, when I finally began to ask myself and find myself as a writer and a poet. I never really asked myself why I was silent until the beginning of this year, and the answer I discovered was that I was terrified of the power of my own voice. Voice has definition and it has volume. You can use it however you like, which can be very freeing and rewarding, but it can also be very risky and hurtful in some situations. I understand the moment I stepped on campus as a freshman that what you say at LA is what you are, and since I was afraid of saying the wrong thing, I was afraid to speak up and define myself. My voice has been influenced by this community that I chose to surround myself with, and I cannot be more grateful for it. A little over a year ago, I was accepted into a writing workshop that was over the summer, which is actually at the college that I'm going to be attending in the fall in Oregon. And I wouldn't have come across it if it weren't for my teachers encouraging me to explore writing in the first place. I actually remember a conversation that I had with Miss Smith during my freshman year when I told her that I hated poetry because it was so indirect and there was no reason for it. Now I laugh at the thought because I'm about to be dropping everything that's familiar to me. This school, my friends, riding horses, which is something that I've done my entire life, and I'll be leaving my town and my home. All I'm going to have left that's familiar to me is myself and my outlet for my voice, which is writing. But now that I'm leaving and I'm going to school on the other side of the country, I'm going to have to start all over. And I have to ask myself one more question, which is, who am I when I'm not at Lawrence Academy? I never would have found the courage to move across the country if it hadn't been for me allowing myself the space and the time to figure out what it meant to be a person and to have a voice in the community. There's a quote that I first found during my sophomore year by a singer named Dan Reynolds. He said, "Never chase others for validation. With time, they will all go, but you will always remain." Growing up here at LA year after year, I've learned that self-validation and happiness do not come from trying to please others. They come from being kind in my words and my actions. And there is nothing that makes me more proud to be myself than being kind to everyone around me, despite our differences. In November, I sent an email to my classmates and later to faculty about being aware of the diversity and opinion on campus after the election. I was beginning to notice that people were fearful and judgmental when speaking up for what they believed in. In part of my email, I wrote, "All I care about is that you all make people in this community feel safe, accepted, and able to express themselves in a positive way without feeling like they will be morally attacked. This doesn't mean we have to stop talking. What this means is we all have to start listening." The most important lesson I've learned here at Lawrence is that diversity is not understood and nor is it embraced until every voice is given the space to find its own volume and create its own definition. Lawrence makes room for diversity and difference, there's no doubt about that, but what's important is that voices are heard. Because having a voice only matters when it is a part of a conversation. And while that's scary at times, I think it's mostly exciting to be touched by lives we'd never before known existed, side by side for these 4 years. Throughout high school, especially now since I'm leaving this place I've been so comfortable in, I'm so grateful to have been able to grow up surrounded by all of you people. We all have such a powerful influence on each other, whether we realize it or not, and the people we've chosen to surround ourselves with will have a direct impact on how we see ourselves and how we will go about discovering and following through on what we're passionate about. Whether it is math, soccer, theater, writing, or community service, each of us are able to find people here who support us, who are kind to us, and who will listen to what we have to say. I am so happy that I chose LA because I finally feel like I was chosen back. And throughout my struggle with finding my voice, here I am, surrounded by all of the people who watched it happen. And I am so proud of myself. Whatever grade you're in at LA, or whatever college you're going to next year, I hope each and every one of you can allow yourself the time to find someone that you can wake up to every day and be proud of. Thank you so much for listening.